I kept on yelling at Michael to put his flipping tongue back in his mouth. I thought it was a health hazard. They kept it. I would yell, you're a virus.
Welcome to another episode of Thanalysis Show with your one and only Thanasis Antetokounmpo and Tony C.
What up?
Man, today we have a special guest.
This is a fun one.
It's a fun one. It's somebody you'd never expect. But we have the inside scoop. We had to put a lot of, we had to call in favors to get this man here.
Yeah, right.
But before we go to our guests, want to thank our sponsors. Want to thank Prisoner Wine and Company. Want to thank Car Bliss for being with us in the beginning. Want to thank Potawatomi Casino Hotel Hotels. Want to thank our sponsor, our newest sponsor, McDonald's. And always remember, it's Thanalysis presented by Gruber Law Offices. One call.
That's all.
That's all.
Hey.
Thank you guys so much. And now to our guest. And you know I got to give him the intro. From Wisconsin's Children's Hospital, the Bucks super fan, Dr. Dave Margolis.
Well, thank you. Wow.
First of all, is Margolis a Greek name? Is it Greek?
In my instance, it's not, but I asked my grandfather when he was alive, I said, is our name Greek? He said, if I had a nickel for every time everybody asked me it was Greek, it's awesome for getting into a Greek restaurant. Absolutely awesome.
So wait, okay, when was your first Bucks game?
The first one that I have clear, vivid memory of is the Bucks losing Game 7 in 1974 to the Celtics at the championship, the NBA championship. I was at that. I went to games before that, but I have vivid memories of losing the championship.
That's incredible.
So I was 11 years old. Yeah. Very blessed. My grandfather ran the parking lot that is now becoming a hotel at 4th and State.
Okay.
So before that, I remember Oscar Robertson and Kareem McLaughlin parking at my grandfather's parking lot. And so Kareem, who I later had a chance to meet a couple of years ago, Kareem wasn't so nice. He had a silver Mercedes. And he was a young kid, and he really didn't care to give an autograph to the young kid. And so it was snowy out, and he threw a bunch of pictures down, and I still have them. But time came, I showed him all the pictures I had from growing up, and he was so gracious and actually sending them back to me autographed. It was wonderful.
That's awesome.
Oscar Robertson was the nicest guy in the world to my grandfather. So the lens was, how did somebody treat my grandfather who ran a parking lot? Oscar Robertson, he had a Jaguar. Those are the only two cars that are. He had a Jaguar with the antenna that went up and down.
Okay.
In 1972, 73, that was cool.
Yeah.
And Oscar Robertson was so nice to my grandfather, and this is where I was a complete idiot. For a couple of years of my life, my birthday present for my grandfather was a leather NBA basketball, happy birthday, Big O. Okay? What do? I go outside and play with these NBA basketballs. So, yeah, they've got no collection value, but just great sentimental value.
That's still really cool.
I remember going to the games with my dad, my grandfather. My dad had two seats right for like 2 games a year. He had 2 seats right behind Larry Costello and the Bucks bench. Imagine where you guys sit.
Yeah.
Right behind there, and they would throw the Gatorade. Just underneath the cups.
Remember
the cups. Throw the cups underneath, and we would get splattered, and it was so cool. And I remember Larry Costello just yelling and diagramming, and so those were the early memories.
Yeah. What happened, Tony? What happened to the Gatorade cups? And no sponsor or anything like that involved, but
I think Kobe ruined it.
Right?
No, Kobe.
Kobe.
I think because in his last game as a pro, when he dropped 60 against Utah, was the first time he pulled out like the body armor on the bench, knowing the NBA just wasn't going to find him and they're going to completely ignore it. And then people started bringing their own stuff to the bench.
Yeah,
and it's like a lot of players, you'll see the bottle is the wrapper's off, or it's clear, or it's like a reusable that
it's different now.
Yeah, and Gatorade's still a sponsor because
so I'll tell you what it is too, because after and this is, wow, COVID has been what, 4 years or 5 years? COVID.
2020,
5 years.
5
5
years.
years.
5
Which is
years.
crazy. It felt like yesterday.
Time flies.
Time flies.
Jeez.
But I remember we used to have the Cubs, and then they told us like, no, everybody has their own like bottle and their own like kind of.
I wonder if that was a COVID change.
That
I don't
actually
know.
makes sense.
They did make sense because then you remember they had the seats. Nobody was like next to each other, and then all of a sudden they switched the sheets, and it was like one here, one there. It's kind of like separated us, even though we're going to the same locker room and the same like. It didn't make no sense, but it was good for the visual.
I just figured the Cubs went away.
There was a lot of visual coming back.
Yeah.
I just figured the Cubs went away because so many guys started investing in different brands, didn't want to be seen with the Gatorade cup.
No, but he wasn't
stuff
allowed.
Like that.
The only guy who did that was Kobe, and you know it's Kobe. It wasn't like if I did that, they would be like, "Oh, what?
Yeah, you would have got fined for sure.
Take it out of there." So okay, so now, so you've seen the Bucks, right? In different stages, different transitions,
You've seen it
different.
all.
It's different stages of my life and the Bucks' life.
Yes.
And so Herb Cole bought the team in 1988. My dad grew up with Herb Cole. When you see the pictures from Herb's funeral in that journal article, there was pictures of my dad in grade school with Herb. They were just best friends from grade school, high school, college, and back here. So when Herb bought the team in 88, the quid pro quo was my dad had to buy 4 seats. Yeah. So we've had the best seats in the house down the row from the owner since 1988. Yeah. And so I remember when you and your dad were at the games with Joanne and Herb. You were probably young at that point.
You were really young.
Younger,
like I was like,
because Giannis was
20.
So this
Giannis was 18,
like,
19.
I'm 20.
Yeah, you were 20.
Yeah.
20.
And I
Wow.
remember your brother who was a Dominican. I mean, and so I've had that perspective. I'm so lucky my entire career. I graduated medical school in 89. So Herb bought the team and we got married. My wife and I got married in 88. We moved here in 89. And so I've been able to watch the NBA from those seats for 30, do the math, guys. 30 something years.
Wow.
I should know how long I'm married, by the way. I think it's 37.
This is not the show for math. Don't worry.
So
You're
okay,
good.
so you've seen that. Which one has been? I mean, your favorite eras of the Bucks. Which one? Like, if you could pick.
The favorite era is now because we won a championship.
Oh yeah.
I mean, in 2021 we won a championship. I remember when in 71 I was 8 years old.
Yeah.
And what I remember about that game, it was on a black and white TV, and you get to remember certain things. After the Bucks won the championship, what do you think was the first advertisement after they won?
What? What could it be?
Milwaukee, it's Miller time.
gonna say it's
Your
definitely a
team
beer.
just won the NBA championship.
Wow.
Talk about product placement. But so I remember, an 8-year-old kid remember it's Miller time. But so yeah, I was alive.
I mean, it's
I feel like
Milwaukee,
now that's kind of a Brewers thing now. No.
Well, that was the Brewers Stadium used to be named Miller Park. They had
Yeah,
the
but they
naming
used
rights
to.
there,
I think
but-
the kind of the slogan they became more of like the baseball. They kept it. They kept it more.
Well, yeah. Now you can't get Miller inside of the arena, so they pretty much took over baseball.
So that was cool when I was 8 and being a young kid with Oscar and Kareem. But being, an adult with my family and seeing a championship in 2021, I mean, thank you.
No, it's a different feeling. No,
Thank
I'm not gonna lie. I was thinking about it because I remember we were coming down the plane when we just won the Eastern Conference Finals, and we're coming down the plane, and so many people. It might have been like 4,000 or 5,000 people just waiting at the airport after we won. And this is COVID. We're talking about COVID, and now the after COVID year, right? And I was like, wow, it's just like everybody's so happy because there's a big difference between sports in the States and sports in Europe. In Europe, they are wild. Like Europe is do or die. But here, it's more entertainment. It's more. But then I saw like another part of it, which was like die-hard fans were so happy.
When Milwaukee wins, it's like Liverpool winning or Man. It is that big, and I think that the Michael Redd era, the Big Dog era, those were all great eras, all great people, And I remember now what part of the great part of the Senator Cole era was the access that he provided to me and my patients. I was able to take some of my patients to the Cousin Center. I remember the first year your brother was there, I was at the Cousin Center. He doesn't remember that, but I remember that. And was able to bring patients there. And so the entire Herb Cole era was really special. And when you guys win, I mean, winning a championship, I blasted "We Are the Champions" of my car.
Yes, as you should.
I'm not part of the we, but I'm sort of the we.
You're part of it. You're part of it.
More part of the we than
Trust me.
60,000 people standing outside.
Trust me.
I don't know about
Everyone's
I
part
do
of
have
it.
another question for you, and this is the frequent question everybody asks. What kind of doctor are you?
I am a pediatrician
Okay.
who takes care of kids with cancer and blood disorders. Okay. And in that big umbrella, I've developed a expertise focus on taking care of children who need a bone marrow transplant to treat cancer or blood disorder. So, yeah, I never want to take care of anybody's kid, and because of the cancer and blood disorder being treated with and now gene therapy, but that's what I do. So I'm a pediatrician, but not like a community pediatrician. Those guys are real heroes because they see everybody. I have a very small, limited number of patients, thank God, who have leukemia, other cancers, other blood disorders, sickle cell anemia. Have you
ever had and this is now obviously this doesn't have to do anything with sports and basketball, but this is like a different conversation people would love to hear. Have you ever had your success story into your field now, right? With all these kids and everybody you deal with that you was like, man, I couldn't believe this.
Oh, I was at a meeting today, and one of the women today is a mom of a kid that we did a bone marrow transplant for sickle cell anemia 13 years ago. Yeah. She's now 18. She pulls up the phone and she FaceTimed me with the girl in school. That's so cool. That is so cool. And we have so many more survivors now than we did when I was your age, when I was young. And so I think that very sadly, children still die of cancer. And thankfully, fewer and fewer are, thanks to the research. And that's been the other Milwaukee part of the story is the MAC Fund. Oh. Started because of Eddie Doucette, who, if you ever want somebody on here, Eddie Doucette was the greatest radio voice of basketball. He could call a game better than Marv Albert or anybody else. He was just fantastic. But Eddie Doucette's kid had leukemia, and when McLaughlin retired, they developed the MAC Fund, and the Bucks invested in the MAC Fund and started that. It was Johnny Mac. Eddie Doucette came up with the name Bango. When anybody would hit a shot, it was Bango. That's how Bango got his name.
Oh, I'm about to. You know what? That's crazy. I never knew. I kept wondering. I was like, how? Why is he called? Why is his name Bango?
Because when Eddie Doucette, when McLaughlin would shoot a rainbow jumper, Eddie Doucette coined the term skyhook for Kareem. When he would do that. When Kareem would do his skyhook, makes the shot, Bango. So Bango. The mascot is Bango after that. And so
when I first heard that, it made no sense to me because Bingo.
You've heard this before?
I've heard the story before. Just growing up a Bucks fan and working at radio, I knew nothing about any of this when I was growing up. But once you get into the radio field and working here, heard some of these stories, and I was just like. First time I heard the story, I was like, why would he say bingo or something?
It does make sense now. I'm stealing this. Watch me make a three. Watch what I'm saying.
You can say it?
Bango. Absolutely. Bango. You need to.
Bango. I'm going to tweet that. Watch. I'm going to tweet this.
So the answer is the MAC Fund. When John McLaughlin came up and toured what we call the MAC Fund Center at the Medical College of Wisconsin, he looked at me and said, Margolis, are you related to Marv and Ben Margolis? I said, that's my father and grandfather. He goes, they used to park my car. I said, I know that. He said, and now you're a MAC Fund doctor? I said, yeah, I am. And that's part of it. And that really, truly is part of the connection. And when people realize that this crazy idiot fan actually takes care of kids with cancer, that is an interesting contrast.
You're amazing. First of all, we sat together at one of the games. And we kept doing this and getting people hyped. But to me, when I do this, I'm like, yeah, let's get hyped. And then I noticed he did it like 3-4 more times, and I was like, wow. I flashed back and remember when I would check in or fourth quarter and looking when I'm checking in and seeing him doing this all the time, and I'm like, because it's different for players do it because we're in the game.
You see so much less too.
Yeah, you see so much less. You got to focus, bro. If you don't focus, they're gonna crush you.
When did you first?
When did I first do that?
No, I'm assuming you've done that for a while. But when did you first realize that it caught on and it became viral, for lack of a better term, and now it's on the scoreboard and you can see it places. And now you're just an internet sensation.
I don't know if I'm an internet sensation.
Oh, you are.
After this, maybe. But I think I can say this on the podcast. I think it became a drinking game for some of the Fox Sports Wisconsin folks. How many times? Because our seats for kids, for younger kids, because the guys in the truck, our seats at the Bradley Center were perfectly angled because we were on the aisle. When we moved over to the Fiserv, we're now in seats 5 and 6 because it's the same sight angle that we had at the Bradley Center, because the Bradley Center had a more narrow aisle. And so I think the guys in the truck, we show me. My dad would let me sit on the aisle as we got older, and because I would get up and jump and yell and scream and not make him necessarily proud. And then people would say, "Oh, you're the guy from the games." And then it really started to take off when I started to paint my hair. And
we do want to talk about that as well, a little bit.
And then if you go back to 2016, because it's the year that my father passed away, it's the year that your father passed away. And the reason I know that is in December, or when the Bucks used to come to the hospital pre-pandemic, Giannis and I had a little embrace because we both lost our fathers within a short period of time. And the Nordstrom's Rock was going crazy. Yeah. And on December 9th, it was a Friday afternoon, I did this 2-minute, very short video being sarcastic and said, "Don't send $85 to Nordstrom's. Send Children's Wisconsin $85, and I will send you a rock and a personalized thank you card." That went viral. That went absolutely viral. And the reason I picked the rock up is we're Jewish, and my mom and dad live along Lake Michigan, and so I know there's a ton of rocks down there. And at Thanksgiving, we had gone down and taken a bunch of rocks. And when you go to the cemetery in the Jewish tradition, you leave a rock. Yeah. So I just had this really sarcastic moment on a Friday afternoon. I can get you rocks. You send me the $85, and that went viral before. Yeah.
How many people did you send? How many rocks did you send?
We made $300,000 in 3 weeks, including a $50K donation from Nordstrom's for Children's Wisconsin. And that's when people figured out that this guy is actually a doctor. Because that was the first night or two, whoa, that guy is the guy from the Bucks games. And Ray Allen would encourage me. He said, "Doc, they hear you. Keep yelling at them. Keep yelling. They hear. Keep yelling at the refs.
They do. Don't stop. Don't stop. I'm telling you, we do and they do." So my question would be this: so let's say there's a bad call, right? You're hyped. Do you because I've seen you talk to the refs? I can't tell what you're saying, and you don't have to. I mean, you can.
I'll tell you. We've got great stories. So I earned 1 red card.
Did you really?
I've got 2 red cards. I earned 1.
What was the 1 red card?
The 1 red card that I earned was, and I can't remember the name of the ref, but the Bradley Center, you didn't spend a ton of time at Bradley Center. It would get quiet, and I can be really loud, and they can hear me at the other side. And apparently, I picked my times, and I yelled at the ref, "What's the point spread?"
Yes,
they did not. They did, and this is before.
We'll get you.
This is before ESPN bet or anything like that. And so I actually got. I think I earned that red card.
Okay.
That was probably.
What year was this?
Probably 2014, 2015.
So the NBA
Okay,
too.
that's when I got
especially-
drafted.
But around that time too.
That was the cleanup. That was when the cleanup was happening.
Also when Donahue. Yeah.
So here's my story about Donahue. So then a lot of years I would yell Donahue. I would call the refs Donahue. In fact, so my daughters are laughing because the people in front of me have heard Donahue, Fix. Now I yell ESPN. Last night I was yelling ESPN better FanDuel. There were some really horrible calls. So when I sat with you, I had to keep my mouth shut.
Yeah, we're too close. We're too close. You can't really yell.
Now I am Zach Zarba. He and I have actually acquaintances. He knows what I do. He's
a cool dude, by the way.
I introduced myself at the airport. I said, "You're Zach Zarba, the ref." And I told him who I was, and Ken Boiler, the guy from
Ken Boiler
Ken is NBA security.
Oh yeah, that's good.
At Bradley Center and Fiserv, and so he introduced me to Zach, and because I had introduced myself.
It's good to know. So do you think
some of the guys know me, and
that's what I was about to say.
They know a little bit what I do. Some of them clearly, there are a couple of them, and I don't know their names off the top of my head. Like one of the younger dudes. I know that I got to be very careful. And he's really a bad official, but he doesn't like being called out on it. But Derek Stafford, in Derek Stafford's last year, and we're going up to the playoffs. I think David Stern was. I'm looking at my daughters. I don't know I don't know if Adam Silver or David Stern was at the game, or there were some.
What year was it? It
was a couple years ago.
Okay.
And it was Derek Stafford's last year. You have to Google what year was Derek Stafford retire. But that was the year it was.
Why need your computer?
So all of a sudden, Stafford makes eye contact with me and starts talking to me. And
what did he say?
Not much, but my usher red carded me. And I said, no. I didn't do anything. I did not earn this.
Okay. First of all, what is a red card? What is
a
that?
red card is a true warning. If you get 2 red cards, you're thrown out and you might lose your season tickets.
Oh,
remember when
don't
we
lose your season tickets, by the way. Don't do that.
No, I
we
know
need
that.
you. We don't do that.
The fans would riot
Well,
if you lost your season tickets.
I don't know if the fans would riot.
They would riot. I would start it, but we would riot. Yeah.
So Kenny, I texted Kenny. I said, Kenny, I did not do anything. I did not start this. I know when I don't cross the line anymore. I don't think. Some would occasionally. Occasionally, my daughters and wife will pull me down. Occasionally, my daughters and wife will pull me down and tell me to calm down.
It looks like 18 he retired.
So
2018.
So that's when it was, and so Kenny went back after the game and told Derek Stafford what happened, and Derek Stafford felt so bad because in no way had I done anything wrong. So I actually have in my office a signed red card from Derek Stafford. Be well, be safe, Derek Stafford.
That was so nice. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, I feel like people don't see this outside of. I mean, the game is the game, but this interaction between fans and referees and players and referees, like we're all cool. We all love the game and want to play. And obviously, there's some people who don't care about each other. They just want to do their job and go home. But most of the guys, especially see, look how many years it's been there. Like, I feel like, because you said before it was one of guy who officiates and he's younger, he probably doesn't know you because people who have been like over 5 years or a decade, I remember we were sitting together and the ref would look at you like, oh, you're here. On this side, because usually the score table.
But Stafford was a ref for 30 years, so he's seen it all. And he's probably here
but the Donahue story,
a year.
Oh, yeah.
The Donahue story. So one of the guys that used to sit right in front of me, and I think he lost his hearing because he had to sit and listen to me. He sent the story and did a cameo with Donahue. And Donahue sent me a cameo saying, Doc, I hear you do great things. Why, when the refs have a bad call, why do you say Donahue? He said you should say that when they make a good call because I always made the good calls. And then he actually said, hit me up, Eddie, and gave me his email address. We became pen pals. And he sent me a Donahue jersey.
Wow.
And so we've emailed each other, and I loved reading his book. And quite frankly, some of what you read in his book makes some of the things that I used to say validated. But I think that I think the NBA. I think people say I'm this great fan. I am blessed because I've had these seats where I can interact with the players in some way. I've met a generation of Bucks players through the MAC Fund and through coming to Children's Wisconsin, and then the refs, and so it is part of the fiber of our family. And I'm looking at my daughters over there, and it is part of their growing up. I wear a blue shirt because the picture that I have of my dad and I in the 2001 playoff run when everybody would stand and cheer for George Karl, I still want to get back to that tradition of when the team comes in, everybody standing and cheering. And but that was before my dad. My dad developed Parkinson's, and the picture that we have is in me in a blue shirt. Yeah. So that's why I wear my blue shirt. He always used to come. He was a lawyer. Always used to come to the games in his suit. Yeah. So I still come in my tie.
I got a quick follow-up there. So enlighten me a little bit. So I remember watching the 2001. I don't really remember watching. I was like 8, and my mom just tells me that I cried when they lost in Game 7, which is par for the course.
This is exactly so what I wanted to ask, it was going to be like, what it was, and before we go to the best day, what was the saddest day for you as a Bucks fan that you was like, you went home and you was like, oh man.
See, this is a better question than what I had. We'll get back to me. No, answer this one first.
Trading Kareem.
Trading Kareem. Because we had won a championship, and we got some great players from that. But trading Kareem, wow, what happened? Like when you traded, would you? Yeah, it's just like why did the best player in the NBA get?
You remember what happened a couple weeks ago?
Yeah.
Dallas and LA.
Yeah.
It's not that far off.
So so that
about Luka, right? Luka trade. Yeah.
So
that's probably the closest.
So that was really sad. The 2000, not getting to the NBA championship in 2001 was really. I mean, because we had the big three, and then there was some tweet that talked about bad injuries. The number of injuries that the Bucks have had that have not allowed us to go into the playoffs. Not to have us go as far in the playoffs as we should. Yeah. Whether it's Giannis the last 2 years, Dame.
You go back to Bogut.
You go. Yeah. It's just all
these. What happened to Bogut?
Bogut. I want to say late in the season. I don't think it was like maybe April of the season. The Bucks traded for John Salmons at the deadline. Okay. They make the playoffs. They're actually playing really, really well. Bogut had like not a fast break, but he was like maybe a 1-on-2. Catches it middle of the lane, goes up, dunks it, and kind of just like falls off the rim. Like he just had an awkward. Some people say he got pushed, whatever. I don't remember who the player involved was, but like falls off the rim, breaks his elbow, sprains his elbow.
What was it?
Oh, it was his back? Yeah, it was bad. Like he, but that year, like they were playing well. I would say that was Jennings' rookie year. So they had Brandon Jennings playing really well. John Salmons came in, and then Bogut gets hurt, and they lose to the Hawks. Maybe in 7.
That team in 2001 really should have won.
01 was
really should have won.
Glenn Robinson, Sam Cassell. Didn't you remember this? Their starting center Irvin Johnson, not the good one.
Number 40.
Didn't he get suspended in the Eastern Conference Finals too for throwing an elbow in Iverson's neck?
He may have. And that's where I lose I'm simply a fan. I will always support the team, and I don't remember all the I don't remember every stat. I'm not I'm not the stat guy. Yeah. But I'm hopefully the emotion guy.
Yeah. To be fair, for like 01 to 2021 for Bucks fans, it was blacked out for a little bit. It didn't matter.
No, I mean 19, we could have went all the way.
Was fun too.
I guess that's it. 2019. I mean, we should have won 2019, and we do win the championship if there's not COVID-19. Yeah,
for sure.
The way you guys were playing in 2020.
was insane.
And now I remember watching the flipping bubble. There are pictures of me sitting outside with my hair painted, watching the games on Microsoft Teams. I was like in the little.
Were you one of the fans?
Yes,
that
I was.
that's
Of course, I was one of the fans there. But yeah, that was no bubble. You guys have 2 rings.
Yes, we got 2 rings. That's
Yeah.
crazy. That's crazy. But okay, so
What
which one
was
was
the-
been your best day that you went home and you was just like this is unbelievable. Like your best day. Like this is
Like regular season or playoff?
non-championship.
Non-championship.
because championship obviously I was tearing up for like weeks. I couldn't-
Non-championship
Of course.
best game. I remember the Michael Redd game, the way where Michael Redd hit the 3, because I remember exactly where I was then. Last night's game. We were at the game, and I said at the turn of the fourth quarter, maybe we should leave. And I said, we'll see what happens in the first at 8 minutes, and then from 8 minutes it was 6 minutes, and then we're staying, and that was awesome. Those regular season games, there are some back in the day before the Giannis era, for a number of years, it was really who was coming in to the Bradley Center to play.
That was the
so
biggest
I was able to see Michael Jordan. I was able to see Kobe Bryant. I was able to see Patrick Ewing. All those players from the angle that we had. I kept on yelling at Michael to put his flipping tongue back in his mouth. I thought it was a health hazard. They kept. I would yell. You're a virus. And think about the way that tongue was out. And I wanted to get him off his game. And I went to Indiana, and the one player that shut Michael Jordan down in the NCAA was Dan Dockich. It was my junior year in college. Yeah. So I would yell from my seats to Jordan, Dockich. He had such great concentration.
Of course.
It's
Michael Jordan, man.
But he heard you.
One of the great lines was Mello. Yeah, I think Mello was at the scorer's table. And I think somebody in our section yelled, "Come to Milwaukee!" He kind of just turned around and laughed. So those
It used to be like that.
You know what the
was
thing
like
is?
that for real.
Let me tell you something, Doc. You know what the thing is that a lot of guys, because they're great players, right? And even great players, great personalities, depending on your team and your role, like everybody gets recruited, like in other cities. Like you go to other cities, and we go to New York. I don't even need to tell you.
Oh,
we go to Miami. We go to, of course, like you go to like different cities, and it's the same thing here. People will come in and look, come to Milwaukee, Steph. Come to Milwaukee. It's nice because they kind of show appreciation.
I remember Del Curry playing as a Buck. Wow. And my guess is Steph Curry spent time at Nicolay High School, because I think that's where you'd have to ask Steph if he ever spent time at Nicolay High School. Yeah. But Del was a Buck for a number of years, and the great Ray Allen was just a great human, and great player.
Yeah. Okay. Because I know we gotta
No, you're
finish
good,
up. But
good.
I do want to ask you one last thing. Give me your top before we end the show, guys. Give me your top 5 Bucks of all time.
Humans or players?
Both, for sure, both.
Because Desmond Mason gets the human. He would come to the hospital and sit in rooms and play video games with kids. It was awesome. Desmond Mason, Ray Allen, Giannis.
Very good.
And Giannis pre-pandemic, you couldn't get Giannis to leave the hospital. He would spend time hanging out, and it's always special when you have the budding superstar still caring about the kids.
You have to, because it's the community. It's you, basically.
Yeah.
It's yourself.
Oscar Robertson. I mean,
Big O.
Oscar Robertson. And then I have to add John McLaughlin. And John McLaughlin, not only one of the great shooters, but what he's done for the community since retiring, and the MAC Fund and the energy that's brought. And I think going back to people getting to know me, Paschke and McLaughlin would say, "Oh, and there's our idiot Mac Fun doctor, Dr. Margolis." So that's why I want to go to that Fox Sports thing.
I didn't know that he played. So I was just young watching Bucks games, and I didn't have cable, so it was like the 10 games a year. You got on channel 24, you get a couple Bucks games, right? I didn't know McLaughlin played for the Bucks when I was growing up.
Oh, really?
Until one day they had his bobblehead day.
Yeah.
And I Googled it at school or something. It was like, oh no, dude was good. He was a legit first ever draft pick, a legit shooter. But when you're younger, you have no idea. You're just oh, he's the broadcaster.
And for some reason, I left Kareem out there. And if you think about the history, and then when I met Kareem, once again, when I met Kareem, and it was at a freighter charity event, but I was at a Mac Fun table, and John Steinmiller and John Kerry called me and said, do you and your wife want to come to this thing, and you might get a chance to meet Kareem? We sat at the table with Kareem. So, nice. and his nickname is the captain for a reason. And I think that you look at some of the great players, and you look at the retired numbers, and I've had a chance to get to know some of them over the years. And
that's
so,
awesome.
But Giannis is not only a great player, but as I've said in tweets, a great human. And he showed that time and time again, and the way he treats our community. And I got to give you one more story.
Yeah. I do want to ask you for your hair, about your hair too. I just remember I want to ask you about your hair.
The story is, it's Mother's Day. I've got my daughters, my wife, and my mother and my mother-in-law in my wife's SUV. And Sweet Diner is, your brother used to live 2 blocks from Sweet Diner. Yeah. So I'm trying to parallel park.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden we hear this, "You got it! You got it! You cheer me at the game, I cheer you when you park."
That's amazing.
And that was just, he knew who I was. And it was just one of that just shows what kind of human your parents and you all have done.
I'm telling you, it's just a great community in Milwaukee and Wisconsin, the state, man. Just supporting us and supporting the sports of Wisconsin in general. All the teams, not just the Bucks. Everybody just really has this community behind them. What I want to ask you before we close, I do want to ask you about the hair. Okay, so how many times have you dyed your hair?
We're trying to think. I think it's over 20 years. I've got patients that are now survivors that are adults that go on Twitter and say, "I did that years ago."
That's awesome.
That young man is probably listening, and he knows exactly who he is. And when the Bucks were not very good, when they came to the hospital, I said, this was kind of an empty promise. I said, "You guys make the playoffs, I'll have the kids spray paint my hair." Yeah. And now I'm looking over to the peanut gallery over there. John Henson, right? John Henson.
The hook.
John Henson got the biggest kick out of it. And so, and back in the day, it was only for 1 or maybe 2 games because we were not in the playoffs very long. But I said, you make the playoffs, I'll have the kids paint my hair. And I've been doing it. I keep my word. As long as there is a surface to be painted, and a kid that wants to do it. But I will tell you, I don't know what our visitor policies are and how they change, but if you ever want to see a kid smile, watch a kid spray paint the doctor's hair. They just have the best time. It's in one of the best lines of one of the teenagers, because it's cold. The spray paint is cold, and he spray painted my hair, and I go like this. She goes, "Doc, suck it up. You just gave me poison." So, and we tried to do color themes. It was a really hard year. The year they did the city colors with the old Mecca floor, the orange and the yellow. That was kind of hard, but it will always be green. unless we're playing the Celtics in the playoffs. Because in the Celtics were established before we are. They got that green, and I'm still probably traumatized from '74. So we'll do blue. We'll do blue when we're playing the Celtics, maybe with a green accent. And Marcus Smart, paints his hair green.
I've seen it.
I think he stole it from me, and I actually had a chance to interact with him when he gave a Marcus cart to Drew Holiday. And so we just out of respect for what the Holidays were doing in our community, and so, but I will continue painting my hair in the playoffs. I'm hoping for a run into June. I'm hoping to be able to spray paint my hair for the next parade, like I did for the parade in 21. But if there's a parade, I will spray paint my hair.
Yes, sir. You heard it here first.
That's right.
Get ready.
Not if there's a parade. When there's a parade.
Exactly.
When there's a parade.
Get ready, Bucks fans. You are going to be in for a surprise with Dr. Dave. Oh, man. We're getting to another end of the show. You know I don't like the ends of the show. I would want for this podcast to be like 2-3 hours.
Just go on for 3 hours of stories from all the way back to 74. So let's have you back.
But I just want to say a huge thank you to Dr. Margolis. He's like, what he does for the community. Forget about what he does for us as the Bucks organization, and like really, really want to say a huge thank you to how he is as a human being and what he brings to the table, and we really appreciate that, Doc.
Thank you, and when there was conversation about the Bucks leaving Milwaukee, what the Bucks mean to our community, and the Bucks players, the Bucks organization. It's the fabric of our community, and we are major league in no small part because of the Bucks and the humans that play for the Bucks. And so it's a great partnership. It's a great community partnership. Thanasis, you are a joy to watch. You are a joy to watch. Your energy when you play, and the Thanalysis podcast, Thanalysis Live, and it's just. And I'll still go back to the way your parents have raised you guys. It's just you're part of the family, and we love that here in Milwaukee.
Thank you so much. Please go and follow him, follow his journey, supporting him in anything he does in his journey. Please don't forget to like, share, subscribe to the show. If you're listening to the podcast, wherever you get your podcast from, we're available in every platform. If you want to watch the videos, you can watch on all the socials, Instagram, TikTok, or X or Twitter, however you want to call it. We're everywhere. And YouTube, obviously. Thank you guys for your support. Without you guys, this doesn't happen.
Do you want to know my Twitter handle?
Yes.
My X handle?
Yes. Please, Doc, tell us the Twitter handle real quick so people can know.
It's pretty simple. At Dr. Dave MKE.
At the Dr. Dave MKE. I love it. Please follow him. Please go out there when the episode comes out. Go and give him green hearts over the comments. Spam his posts. Thank you guys so much. Without you guys, it doesn't happen. And without our sponsors, this doesn't happen. It's Thanalysis presented by Gruber Law Offices. One call.
That's all.
Dr. Dave, dude, on this one.
That's all. Thank you, Thanasis. Thank you, Tony. Thank you, team.